Hello, everybody. Um, if you're new, then welcome. It's really nice to have you here. I hope you like it and that you will continue to be here in the future. And for everyone else that is coming back, thank you so much. I do really appreciate it. So, thanks so much. I also wanted to give a huge thanks to Lisa from Lisa Stitching and such. She apparently has given me a shout out, and that is so kind of you. Thank you so much. I am way behind on Flosstube, so what I usually do is I just put a line and then I jump to the latest video that somebody did, just so I don't have to watch like 4 months worth of Flosstube videos. So that video from Lisa I haven't seen, but thank you so much. That's really kind. And Andrea from Stitching Shadows, she had such a lovely shout out. She literally described everything that I'm trying to do with this channel and has always been my goal, and apparently I reached it. So that really meant a lot to me. So thank you so much. So there is a new app out in the market. It's still in early access and you can only use it on Android devices. You might have heard of it, you might not have heard of it, but if you are a full coverage stitcher, this app is amazing. It's made by a stitcher for stitchers. So we have gotten our own app. A lot of people are going crazy over this and buying Kindles and stuff like that to be able to have the app. So far, I only have it on my phone, which I am filming on, so I can't show you big details the app, but there is a lot of good Flosstube videos out there already about this app. It's called Pattern Keeper. And basically it's easy to highlight stitches. There is a function that it's easy to search stitches. And if you have if you have chosen to mark a stitch to like search all of the stitches, you can only mark off the stitches in that color. There is if you want to like catch up on your patterns, or if you're stitching block by block, then when highlighting you can just this is highlighting without having anything searched, not a symbol searched. If you hold down, it will pop up that you can mark off the whole page or a whole 10 by 10 square. For the love of diagonal stitching, it's a Facebook group. They have been very active with this, with helping the developer Osa. And so there is like, you can make diagonal lines if you want now. The app also count your stitches for you. It counts the stitches both for that day, how many you have stitched that day, and how many you have stitched on overall, and what percentage of completion you then have on your pattern. I know it is the developer is thinking about making it into iOS, but that can take a really long time. For now, I will be happy with using my phone, even though it's a really tiny screen. And wait and see how long it will take before the app comes to Apple products, which is iOS. So yeah, but it's a really nice app. I know she also is thinking about implementing non-full coverage patterns to make that work in the app. That would also be amazing. When you mark off stitches, it actually when you have saved your markings, it turns the symbol into the color of the floss you have used. So as you highlight, as you mark off, and save those stitches, it will show the pattern on the app. The app also make it so you get one big screen for your entire pattern instead of scrolling through pages. So you just zoom in on where you want to stitch, and that's that. It's really nice if you are a parker, that you do the parking method. It's actually the best app so far for that use, so I am totally in love with it. But it also is super nice for a cross-country stitcher because of if you search a symbol, it will show, it will highlight that symbol in green, and then all those stitches in that color will be highlighted on the entire pattern. It also will tell you how many stitches left of that color, so you can easily see when you have finished off some colors in your chart. And just amazing, just amazing. So I just wanted everyone to know, especially if you're a full coverage stitcher, that there is an amazing app. It has to be a PDF file that is made from a pattern maker program like Heaven and Earth Design, Tilt and Craft. I think Artisy is also supported, Shotting Creations. There has happened a lot lately, so I think you are able to do like all PDFs that are made in a program work now. That's amazing. It doesn't work with, like, if you scan, like sometimes if I have paper patterns, I scan them with my phone and make them into PDFs that I can use on my GoodNotes to mark off, because that marking just marks up over the page. It doesn't like read symbols, nothing. That will not work. So I still will use my GoodNotes, and most likely I have Goodreader also. That's what I previously have used for my full coverage projects, and most likely I don't have a use for that now, so that will be it's exciting in a way. I really like that there has come a better app out there for us. If you want to see more details of how the app works, how to use the app, Karen Bugg, B-U-G-G, she is the needle bug, B-U-G-G again. I think she's called Karen the Needle Bug here on Flosstube. If you search needle and bug, remember 2 G's at the end. She has made 2 Flosstube videos where she shows off Pattern Keeper, the new app. How it works, how you use it. I don't know if she has remembered to like show every little detail there is, but I'm more of a person that I get the app, I try it out, and just figure out a bunch of stuff, and then I will watch tutorials on an app just to see if there is something that I didn't notice or I haven't intuitively understood. I can do that for the app. So if you are a full cover stitcher doing digital copies of a pattern, then I can highly recommend Pattern Keeper. It is in early access, so it's still developing and getting better and better, but it's full functioning for now. It worked perfectly. I don't have had any issues. The only issues I met was when I tried to load the possibilities max color. It didn't load properly the first time, but then I just deleted it and reloaded it again in the app, and it works perfectly. So also it's not supporting blended colors yet, but as I said, it's early access, so there is a lot that can change and happen, and I think it will be in a better way. So yeah, it's an amazing app. Can highly recommend it. And if you are unsure if you like it, then the good thing is if you download it, you have a 2-week trial period to test out the app, try stitching with it, see how you like it, and if you like it, then you can buy the full upgrade. It's a one-time payment, and in all honesty, for an app like that, it wasn't expensive at all. And it's a one-time purchase, so it's not like you will have to pay it every year. You just pay one time and you have the app and all the improvements that will come in the future. So that's exciting. Okay. Let's get into whips, because I have rambled on for 12-13 minutes, so it's time to show you what you really are here for. Okay, so I have had one new start, one finish, and one teeny tiny finish that I didn't count as a whip, because if it's under 20 by 20 stitches, I don't count it as a whip. So the teeny tiny finish is, I don't have a picture of how it will look like, because it's just one of those small patterns at the back of the World of Cross Stitching magazines that is like a test. You can like test and try out the different way of stitching. It's like a small tutorial for a beginner stitcher, and it was a rose. So I did this on black Ada. I'll try and do it like this so you actually can see. So the red is in a DMC metallic. I don't remember the number right now, but it's the darkest red of the DMC metallics. And this green one is just a variegated unknown color from my stash that I used. It's a tiny variegation in there, but you can't really see it. And I backstitched with DMC Etoile 310, the black one, just with a little bit of shimmer, because I wanted to not dull the red metallic too much. So that's the small finish. And then the next finish, No, it's not Lady and the Tiger, but you will see that also and see how far I have got. So the next one is Temperature Garden by Stitching Mommy. It's I started this in 2018, so it's the temperatures for 2018, and I did finish it. When was it? I don't remember. It was in the beginning of this week. Not this week, last week, because today is Monday, the 23rd. So I will insert a picture of where it was the last time you saw it. And here it is now, fully finished. There is a bunch of mistakes in this. I started out with the palette Stitching Mommy is giving for the temperatures. Then I still use most of her colors, but I have like changed it up a little bit. So each from May, beginning of May, each petal, each color represent 1 degree Celsius and nothing more. Previously, one color could be from everything from 1 to 3 degrees Celsius. Wasn't too big fan of that, so I just changed it up. So I got more variation going through the pattern. And it's done. I have no clue what I want to do with it. Originally, I was thinking of maybe making a tote bag or something like that, but we'll see. So that's done. And that was a huge relief to get done. This month I have done 1,835 stitches on this one to get it complete. I had done a pretty good chunk of that originally. Let's see, I have it on my spreadsheet. Let's see. This last, not this week that was, but the week before, I did 890 stitches on it for different challenges. And the week that was, I did 419 stitches to finish it off, because I did see that I was really close to a finish, so I was knocking it out before Semi-Sane Stitcher had another Choose My Whip starting, because I had done a whole lot of Lady and the Tiger. She got the most focus, so I kind of could focus on Temperature Garden, because Choose My Whip, you have to do the whip they choose. You add 2 to 3 whips, and people vote on which one you are going to focus on, and that one you are going to focus the most on. So I still kept Semi-Sane Stitcher's challenge, Choose My Whip, even though I knocked out a finish. And like 3 days later, Caroline from Off the Grid Needle Arts told us that she is gonna have a finish weekend. And I'm like, well, I just finished that one whip that I could have finished in a weekend, so I'm not going to try and finish Lady and the Tiger. Not gonna happen. Not in just a weekend, because it would have been 5,000 to 6,000 1,000 stitches, something like that. In a weekend, I could do it if I was crazy enough, but I'm not going to do that. That will just mess up my life. Okay, that was my finishes. So I'm going to show you my new start. And if you're wondering if the frame is like jumping a little bit, it is because I try to stop and start between 1 to 3 whips max. It's just easier for me with Windows Movie Maker and the whole editing process and finding the place I know I have to edit. So instead of watching everything over again when I'm filming like 1 hour videos, I can just watch the segments I know I have to do a little bit of editing on. So this next whip I have in my new Floss Buddy, because it's basically Floss Buddies that I got in the DMC book that I won. So yeah, the new pattern I started is Halloween Calendar by Tiny Modernist. I will insert a picture of what it will look like when it's done here. And so far I've stitched with one color, DMC 310. It calls for DMC 939, but yeah, when you see the fabric I have, you understand. Plus it's Halloween, it's supposed to be black. And I have this cute needle minder from House of Meng on my project. And this is what I have gotten so far. Just outlining the squares. This right here, this square, I actually had to, like, I made a mistake just here in the beginning. So I had, and then I had stitched almost everything around, and then I realized I'm off somewhere. So I had to frog all of this and all of this and restitch it correctly. So yeah, but now everything is correct, everything is lining up. I'm currently working over here, making the squares going down. And I will also do that on this side afterwards, because then it's pretty easy to just fill in those black colors whenever, if I'm take this with me as a traveling piece or something like that. Because I don't have a good enough traveling piece. So far I'm using a Lion King, but I'm really not stitching on it in the doctor's office, and I think it's because it's too much hassle and too much stuff going on in that one that I don't really enjoy stitching just for a few minutes and putting it away. So, but this one I think will be really fun. So I might take this as a traveling piece. And with this new Floss Buddy that I have, it's going to be super easy to bring with me. I don't have any of the colors bobbinated, so, but you can use it even though you don't use the bobbins, as you clearly see. The fabric is the same fabric that I use on Haunted Mansion Sal by Tiny Modernist. So it's the same gray mystery Ada that I got from Stacy from Atlantica Dream Stitches. And it's going to be fabulous. So I actually have a third pattern kitted up with this fabric and I love it. The Ada is super soft, it's super nice to work with, and I love the color for Halloween stitching, like that little bit dark grayish color. And the black really stands out on it, so it looks fabulous. So yeah. So I have said I won't start anything unless I get a good, decent start on it. So my Halloween calendar, I did a little bit over 1,500 stitches. So I will say that it's a pretty good start. Plus, it's closing into Halloween. Now I don't need to be afraid of finishing off my Haunted Mansion Sal with doing challenges, because I have that other one that have, I think, almost all of the same stuff in it, plus some more. So it really will work super good for a lot of challenges. So that's nice. And it's cute, so I like it. Next up is a whip you haven't seen in over a year because I started this one in May of 2018. It's now September of 2019. And I actually, this is the second time I have picked it up and stitched on it. So yeah, it's Esmeralda by Pinky the Pink. I will insert a picture of what it will look like and where it was the last time you saw it right here. And here she is now. This is stitched on a 36 count oak and linen by Picture This Plus. And I just worked 300 stitches in this section here, the oval around her, because if you remember, I have found that I don't like starting projects in the middle, or yeah, in the middle. So I'm working my way up to the top so I can work her top down. So yeah, I do love her and I do love stitching on her, so I don't know why I haven't picked her up. I think it's just all the challenges and she really doesn't fit anything. So she hasn't been pulled out, but there was a challenge in Enchanted Stitching where you had to stitch on the whip that was like the oldest one that you hadn't stitched on, and for me that was Esmeralda, because I do keep track of that. I can just show you quickly how I do that. Hope it's good enough light that you can see and not being too blend. So this is spreadsheets from Google Documents, and I have listed all my ongoing whips down here. I don't think Halloween calendar is on here because I haven't added September. I do that at the end of the month. And what I do is, you can see the months are up here. This is the start of 2019. These lines are, I think everything over here is before 2018 and everything under here is from 2019. And it also just helps me keep track. These I have blacked out here is the 2 whips that I have put on a break. And for each month I do a different color, and I just mark off, I just color the square in if I have stitched on that whip. And I also do now, that is something I currently have started with, write down the date that it was last started on in that month. So, and when I start getting over 3 months, I color it like grayish, and you can see I have marked off some whips when they reach 6 months. If they reach these marks right here, that means it's over half a year since I stitched on them last. So I need to hurry up and, or not hurry up, I try to focus on getting at least 1 or 2 of those stitched each month, so that I will have touched everything in a 6-month period. And Esmeralda was the last one I needed to do that with, because she is this gray line going here. You can see it's a long time since she was worked on last. So that's just how I keep tracks of that. I started that when I figured out my new way of letting myself do more starts and not be limited by a set number of whips, but instead limit myself to not having more whips than what is possible for me to work on in a 6 months period. So that is, plus it helps me see which whips is a long time since I have stitched on, so I can try to work on them. Because I usually focus on, I have like between 3 and 5 whips that I focus on through the whole year or until finished. And the other whips doesn't get much attention. I don't think about them too much. So this way of tracking just really helps me stay focused, a little bit focused on everything, so nothing is left behind. No whip left behind, except the one on breaks. Okay, next up is my baby blanket. It's a kit by Tubin Baby, and the designer is Joan Elliott. It's a pre-printed fabric, so I do struggle a little bit with working on this, but I have gotten in a better groove, and getting like the border almost done really helps. So I will insert a picture of where you saw it the last time. And here it is now. I don't know how much you see and don't see right now. So this is the top part, and this is the bottom part. I do that for inserting pictures. But what I have worked on is that I finished the top part of the border. And I also got a little bit of back stitching done here on the star, because I needed that for an extra credit. Because I did the back stitching on Temperature Garden, that was not enough to get 500 back stitches. So I pulled this out and did backstitch the whole top. Still, I think I was finished, but I had like a little length left on my needle, so I just went down here and finished that length off. So this is really nice because when I get to the middle section, the bigger part, that is actually easier to stitch, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and stitch the outlining of everything and then do the more fill-in colors afterwards. Often what I have done is, if there is 3 shades of color, I will do the darkest, the lightest, and then the medium color. It's like super easy to fill in. So that's at least my plan, but I need to do more border. I need to get the border on the sides done and at the bottom. So there's still a lot of work left in this, and it is a slower stitch. I'm approximately using twice as long to get a set number of stitches. So Lady and My Tiger, I'm a little bit quicker on. But say I normally do about 200 stitches an hour. On this one, I get 100 stitches an hour. On my Lady and the Tiger, I can get up to 300 stitches an hour, because it's just, it goes really fast if it's not confetti heavy. So yeah, that's my baby blanket, and I need to just get everything away because there is a lot of stuff always. So next up is my Lion King by Disney Dreams collection. Julie from Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World was so kind to gift this to me so I can stitch for my son, and that's what I am doing. So I will insert a picture of where it was the last time you saw it right here. And here it is now. I'm not moving it out of the hoop, sorry. So I finished up the last stitches I had over here because I had to frog a lot of stitches right in here. So everything of that is re-stitched. And then I have stitched a lot on Kiara and Rafiki. And I did end up choosing to stitch it 1/1, and Kiara turned out so perfectly. Because I didn't like how she looks on the picture, but I do like how she looks now. Rafiki, I did try the same thing, but it's just harder to backstitch him the way I do it, because I don't follow the pattern 100%. I try to follow the backstitching, so some places I just got off somewhere. So so going forward, I might just do him as charted with the 1/1 stitching, and not like right here I have, instead of having like this long line going straight down, I have just taken away one of the stitches here, so it looks more like the back stitching will do, going like in a bow half circle around with back stitching. So yeah, I did try and do his hair and stuff, not 1/1, but that's going to be difficult down in his body, so we'll see how that goes. But so far, I do really like how it's looking. So that's my Lion King. There is still a lot left to do, but at least I am tackling the parts I was the most afraid of doing, and that was basically Kiara and Rafiki, because I didn't like how they look on the pattern. But I'm much more happy now that I have done it and that I did choose to do it 1/1. It's also easier when backstitching, because some of the backstitching it ends in the middle of a square, but when you do 1/1, that square is divided into 4 smaller squares, so you actually have a super easy middle point where you can put your needle down without any struggles. So, and speaking of doing crazy things like 1/1 stitching and making just my whips even bigger than they was originally, next up is Cinderella in Rags and Riches, and I will insert a picture of what it will look like and where it was the last time you saw it here. And this is where this beauty is now. So I did a whole lot more Krynic. Not Krynic, because I actually had converted this to Petite Treasure braid. PB54, I believe. And I did end up deciding doing the window 1/1 in lighter blue colors for the sky. So I am going to do this whole window 1/1, the inside of the window. So that is also why I have focused on the metallics. So I have finished almost all of this top part with metallics and almost everything with the stitching now on Cinderella in Rags. And I have started to do most of the Krynic in, not Krynic, the metallics in the window. I still have more in the window, and there is going to be a bunch more over here in Cinderella in Riches. And I also have the bottom part. So there's still like 4 parts left to do, since it's 2 patterns and each pattern has like 2 pages. But I love it. I really love it. And I have some more 1/1 stitching here. I forgot. With our hand. And back stitching. So, but I do really love her, and each time it's hard to put her down. But she is not the whip I was supposed to focus on this year when it comes to fancy ladies. So I try not to stitch too much on her, but from my whip tracker, what I have stitched on each month, it's really easy to see that I love that one, because it's not a focus, but I think I have almost stitched on it each and every month this year. I always manage to like just pull her out, do a few stitches on her for a challenge, just to stitch on her again, because I love her so much. So yeah. So the fancy lady I am supposed to focus on. This year is actually, I will put the pattern back because I pulled out the pattern. I'm not showing you the pattern. My Cinderella by Mirabilia. It's not mine, it's Stacy's from Atlantic Dream Stitches. And it's a kit, and she was so kind to let me use everything from the kit to stitch this. So that's why I try to focus on her, because I want to get her done and sent back to Stacy. I also am considering doing a second one. I haven't started the second one, but that was my plan all along, so I might start a second one. We'll see. But I am really slow stitching this because of the fact that I railroad every stitch. So I might stop railroading every stitch because it's starting to annoy me. So yeah, but I will insert a picture of where it was the last time you saw it right here. And here she is now. So I work my way down to this corner of the border. And so I have something I can easily just stitch downwards. This is, the pattern is in 2 pages, so this is like the page break. There's a little overlap, so it's just approximately right here. So everything over here is the first page. I had previously jumped over and stitched the blue metallic in her diadem. So I stitched this 762, it's a very light gray color, and have started on her hair, and just a tiny hint of skin 1/1 right here. So this hair is super confetti heavy, and I'm working it top down. I don't like to jump too much. Like, those stitches are perfect stitches. I railroad everything. So, but it looks amazing. It does. So I just think it's, when I do so many challenges, it's hard to work on something that takes me so long to get a high amount of stitches that I need for a challenge. It's much easier to use my Lady and the Tiger, where I can whip out the challenge in an hour. While here I would have to use 2, maybe 3 hours to get it finished. So you see there's a big difference in that. So I just think I need to change my mentality and not be too focused on getting all of the challenges done. I did try that a little bit this week, and I will say that has been much better, and I actually have gotten more done than I normally would get done. Because, sorry, lost the needle. Because when I focus on the fact that I need to finish challenges, I usually stop stitching on a project that I'm in the groove on. And I might stop it like an hour before bedtime, and then I really don't want to pick up another one. And now when I don't focus too much on challenges and completing them and letting myself just do penalty stitches instead, suddenly I'm just getting through stuff much faster. So yeah, that's just a mentality I need to try and have. And then stuff like this will be more fun to stitch on also. So this week, Choose My Whip was Cinderella. So that's what I've done on her. It looks like I have done less on her than on my Lady and the Tiger, that you will see shortly. But I actually stitched much more on Cinderella. And Lady and the Tiger has been the focus the week before that. So, do you want to see her? My Lady and the Tiger by luca-s. It's a company from Moldova. And when you see the details in this, I'm like, each time I'm so amazed about the details, and there is only 35 colors. So yeah. I will insert a picture of where it was the last time you saw it here. And here she is now. Not in her full glory, because I'm not allowing myself to see her in the full glory before I have finished this last page. So, worked much more on the tiger. Here is the tiger's tongue coming out. This black right here is actually background, and all of this, like which is outlined, this blank stitching space, from about here and going down here and over here, will be all in 938 DMC. So that will go really quickly when I get to do it. So I have just a little bit more here I want to stitch before I do that massive big block of brown. And I'm going to try and stitch down to this corner first and like do this last part of the tiger till the end. And as you can see, there is something weird going on right here. Because if you remember, I managed to get a hole in my fabric. I think it was in 2018, like in the beginning of the year, so it's a long time ago now. I have actually mended that part of the fabric. I tried looking for tutorials on how to do it. I found one for linen, but not a good one for Ada that I liked. So I just did my own thing. Since this is the first time, and I struggle with, because when I started getting closer to the stitching, the gap in the hole started to get wider and wider, and that really scared me because I have to have a good tension on this when stitching, because I do pin stitch, and with the pin stitch on Ada I have to have good tension so the needle easily pierces the fabric. So I kind of wrapped around the floss around those horizontal lines, not horizontal, vertical lines. And that's kind of what you see that doesn't look like truly good. But everything else that I did, I did like weave it in with how the fabric would be. Took some floss at the end, I put it in. And I will actually insert a close-up of what I have done, where I explain it much better what I did right here.
Hello. So I am done repairing the hole I had in my fabric on Lady and the Tiger. If you remember, a long time ago, I managed to get it damaged in the fabric. So the vertical threads, some of them were cut, and my plan was to use the method that I saw someone on Flosstube use, but it was an even weave and not Ada. But I figured that the closer I got to my stitching, the more the hole did widen, and it looked like it was gonna tear more of the fabric since it was already weak right here. So instead of stitching my way close to the hole like the video I saw, I figured I could use a pin stitch. So I used a pin stitch to secure the floss. Since the hole was gotten so big, I had trouble with the horizontal floss. So I kind of just wrapped my floss around those vertical lines that were not cut, which I regret now, because when I just started to weave like the fabric is right here, it doesn't look too bad. So this part right here was missing two of the strands, and you cannot tell which strands that is. So this is actually a repair, and it looks almost perfect. You can see a little bit of fabric is like sticking up from the one that got cut. So it doesn't look that good right here, but still it's really sturdy right now. And I also, at the edge here, went around and kind of took my needle up right here at the bottom and went down at the top, and then went down to the next and did the same. So I kind of like have wrapped the horizontal floss that's already there beforehand. I kind of like have wrapped a strand around them before doing a pin stitch, just so if by some reason those cut floss wants to start acting up, I have something that is like wrapped around them and keeping them in place. So yeah, I hope I don't need to do this anymore, but next time it's gonna look much better. But now I still have like a reference where my X's are going to be, so that I can stitch over the hole that I had in my fabric. So I know it's not perfect, but I am pretty pleased, and I wanted you all to show you that I did repair it and just explain how. I didn't want to do the repair on camera since this is my first time. I have seen nobody else done it like this, where I secured the strand with a pin stitch, and then I weaved with how the weave is supposed to be on the Ada. And then I did like a half pin stitch to a little bit further away to like turn and do the weave the opposite way. So I have kind of like go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, up to 4 times, since there is supposed to be 4 strands in one square horizontally in an Ada. So it took some time, but now it doesn't look too bad. The back isn't too bulky and the top isn't too bulky. So I do hope when I get to the part where I'm stitching over this that you can't see it at all, because this is my Lady and the Tiger, and it's a full coverage project, so I am going to have stitches over here. So I really, really hope that in the end you can't tell at all that there was a hole in my fabric right here. So that is how it ended up looking. As I said, my only regret was that I wrapped my floss first around the vertical line, so I kind of saw where they were going, because the hole was so big, the vertical lines were starting to go all over the place, so it was hard to tell that these 4 strands was supposed to be here and these 4 strands was supposed to be there. So you can see I only did wrap around these 2 at this spot. But still, it made it so it doesn't look perfect, but it's better than nothing, and it's secured. And that was what I wanted to show you. So even if you get a hole in your fabric, just try to do the best out of it. If it's a full coverage, you can easily cover it up afterwards. So I done my best, and we'll see how it will go when it's stitched over. So back to my update.
So I hope that wasn't too complicated. But yeah, the fabric is mended, and since this is in the middle of the tiger, it will be some time before I can stitch over this and see how it will look. But I do think that it will look amazing in the end. So, and like from far back, you can almost not see it at all, that there is something there. So I'm pretty sure when I get the stitches over those lines that I wrap the floss around to hold them together, because in an Aida you have 4 strands that goes vertically and 4 strands going horizontally, and those 4 strands vertically, they were like, since the hole started to open so much, they became very difficult to handle, so I just wrapped once or twice around them to keep them together, so it was easier for me when weaving, finding out which strand I was going to go over and under. So yeah. My thinking is, I don't know when. I'm not going to announce a date because, as I said, I don't know when. But when I get close to finish, if it is in a time where it's a good time for me to film, I will go live here on Flosstube when filming the last stitches on the Lady and the Tiger. I might also either go live or just film myself stitching over this fabric that is mended to let you all see how that went. I hope I don't have to do this again, but at the same time, I'm glad that I have done it, and I just made up my own thing, and it worked in my mind perfectly. The only thing was, if I didn't wrap around those lines, it would be almost impossible to see this. I show you a part on that little clip I showed you where I have mended the fabric, and you can't see that it's mended. It looks just like the fabric. The only thing actually that makes it possible to see is that on the sides there is pin stitches, at least one of the sides, I believe. So that like show you that, okay, there is something going on there, you just don't know quite what. So we are soon going to do a new week of Choose My Whip for semi-sane stitchers. And I hope my Lady and the Tiger will be pulled so I can focus on her and get her done. Either way, I will focus on her. It's just that I don't need to divide the attention to another whip. And I have done, so far in September, I have done 7,800 stitches on Lady and the Tiger. So there is a good amount of progress done. So I will go over to plans. All right, plans. Also, I wanted to show you how I keep track of my stitches now. Like, I love my spreadsheets. I just have a spreadsheet for all my whips, designer name, when it was started, some other details. Then I have another one for finishes, and each blue line is like showing that it's a new month. And for the overall year, I have like this spreadsheet. So I plot in the total amount for that month. Then in these, I track how many stitches per day stitched, and per project. And then, because of all the crazy challenges going on, the Crazy Headmistress Challenge in Magical School of Stitches made it so you need to track your stitches on each and every whip. I had for a long time thought about doing that, but I kind of like never got my butt in gear to do it. So this gave me a reason to do it, and now there is the Fairy Godmother's Challenge in Enchanted Stitching, that it's like based on the same thing almost. So it's a really good way to track my stitches, at least for my geeky side. I love this spreadsheet. And what I have done is I've listed all my projects. These that I have blacked out or grayed out, it's a really dark gray. They are not totally black, so I can actually see what it says underneath. Those are finishes. So, but since I still are tracking every stitch I do this year, they are still in there in the spreadsheet. I just have blacked them out so I don't accidentally add stitches to them or something like that. I also, for each month, do a gray tone for the whole column, because here is where I'm supposed to insert the stitches for this month. And it's only been tracking since July, so this is July, August, and then September. And this closest to the whip here is the total stitches I have done since July. So that way I have the total stitches for each month so far. And the total stitches on an overall since I started to track this. So that's really fun. It's also a nice way to see, like, okay, in the last 3 months, there is 0 stitches on Winter Queen, the Black Pearl, Magical Night, and the Baby Sampler by Joan Elliott. So I know those are whips I need to stitch on going forward. But when those are stitched on, I really can't use this spreadsheet to see that, so that's why I have the other one. What is also fun is that I have an app called what's the name? Now Then. It's the name of the app. It looks like this when it's the pro version. I think it's blue when it's not. And what I'm doing here is I have made a category for finishes. And then all my whips going down. You can do like subcategories. So if I hit this arrow right here, I have finishes 2018, finishes 2019, and the ones I have on break. And what this app do is I just hit this play button. I can do it and just remember to remove it. And then it starts tracking the time I use stitching on that whip that I am marking off. And when I'm done, I just hit the stop button. And you can, I just need to remove that now that I remember it. Delete event. You can like color these yourself. That's what I have done. So if you have it on this right here, you can see everything you have worked on in a day, in a week, and in a month. And depending on how you zoom is how it will look. So you see, this is early mornings. I usually don't stitch here unless it's like after midnight. So most of my stitching are, you can see, all over the place in the day, because I stitch a little bit here and a little bit there when I have the time, or when my illness becomes noticeable and I need to take a break. So, but what it also do is if you push this right here where it say chart, again, you can track everything you have stitched on today. If I go just back some days, you can see here, Halloween calendar. If I push this column, I can see exactly how much I have stitched, and so on. And then I can go to, no, this one, a week. So that's everything I did last week. Then you can mark off the whole month. So you can see Lady and the Tiger. She has been worked on a lot. She is this brown color. You can see finishes here because I have put that in finishes. So that's Temperature Garden and that little rose. I think that's the only thing I have finished in September. No, it actually isn't. That's Lion King. That's not finishes. That's Lion King. This is Temperature Garden. But I can hit this sumer symbol. In Norwegian, we just call it sumer. So if I hit that, all the sub tasks will become one big task. So then I suddenly have finishes right here. And I can just take it off. And then what's interesting now is to hit this one that shows you all the stitching for a whole year. And there is a lot of stuff going on because I have had some small finishes and so on. So what I do is I hit this button, which makes all the finishes go into one category. So you can see Lady and the Tiger is competing with how many hours I have used on finishes this year. But when Lady and the Tiger is done, it will go into this finishes column, and that will be massive. And here you can see the time I have spent so far this year. It's 872 hours of stitching. So yeah, I'm not a fast stitcher, I just stitch a lot. And if I hit the column for Lady and the Tiger, you can see I have stitched almost 216 hours on Lady and the Tiger so far this year. So a lot of stitching has gone into the Lady and the Tiger. So of those 800 and something, 200 and something of those are Lady and the Tiger. So almost 1/5 of my stitching, I have done this. But that shows I really have focused on this year, and that's a good thing. And going forward, this time tracking app will be more and more fun to see, because right now I have a lot of patterns that are started before the time tracking app. So when I kind of get those done, everything will be time tracked on the stitches I do, and it's not hard for me to do. I just hit the start button and hit the end button. Some patterns, like the ones where I stitch traveling, I don't usually track, so there is some discrepancies. Like Lion King is my now travel project, so I have stitched a little bit on that. So it's not 100% correct on all my whips, but it's a close enough way of tracking, at least for me. And also in the beginning, I wasn't used to hitting that start and stop button, so yeah, not 110% correct with my stitching, but approximately. So going forward, there is a lot of challenges that I've just started now. I'm also now in the 30 days challenge, that group that Shirley has. She was so kind to let me join, even though I know they don't, she doesn't want it to be overrun with people, so it's not like everyone can join. But I'm in that now: Enchanted Stitching, Semi-Sane Stitchers, and Magical School of Stitches. So I have my challenges set out for me, but it's fun. And as I said, I'm going to focus less on getting the challenges, just finishing a bunch of challenges. I'm instead going to just pick up a whip, see if it fits some of the challenges, and stitch on that, and just have a few days where I do challenge stitching, like 4 stitching challenges. So yeah, my plan is mostly to focus Lady and the Tiger and maybe hope to finish her. I know I need to pull out Being Inspired this week because of 2 of the challenges in Magical School of Stitches. So yeah, as always, I will most focus on Lady and the Tiger and just do some other stitching here and there. Plus, Lion King is my 90 days of full coverage stitching, so I stitch a little bit on that each and every day. Have managed so far, so I hope I can manage to do it the last 7 days of this month. It's unbelievable, it's only 7 days left of this month. So yeah, October is going to be crazy. There's a lot of birthday parties, like big events happening. We are going to a themed 30 or 40 year birthday party, I believe, where the theme is superheroes and villains. So my thinking is I might try and go as Harley Quinn if I can manage to get something going there. So yeah, that's just a lot of stuff happening. So there might lose a good amount of stitching time because of that, especially if I have to make like try and sew some clothes or like just sew some fabric over some clothes I have to make a costume. So we'll see. It will be fun. So yeah, I'm going to get back to washing some more clothes and cooking dinner because it's on the stove. It's one of those I just have on the stove all day. I go and stir a little bit in it, just add a little bit stuff here and there, and voila, dinner done when my husband and son is home. So thank you so much for watching, listening to me ramble on. I almost forgot. If you want to enter the giveaway, you have to go back to Flosstube number 40 here on my Flosstube channel and follow the instruction when I talk about the giveaway. Do not do that on this video comment because then it won't be registered. You have to do it on that video. If you have for some reason forgot to do what you need to do to enter the giveaway, then please go back and double check your comment because there is some people that haven't done what I specified. So either you just don't want to enter the giveaway or you have forgotten. So that's just a little reminder. If you did forget, then go back and edit your comment because I will just write everyone that has entered when I do the drawing. My thinking is I am far behind on Flosstube, and I have been for several months. I have actually considered removing a lot of my subscriptions again because it's just too much. I don't get over everything, especially the months that has been with my illness. I have struggled with sounds, so I can't really watch Flosstube because I want to hear what people are saying. But again, Stitch With Me's are perfect because I don't always need to listen to people do Stitch With Me's. Sometimes I just turn the volume off and just watch people stitch because if I'm too sick to stitch myself, it's really comforting to see other people stitch. So I have done some Stitch With Me's videos that are like silent. I just haven't uploaded them yet. I'm not sure if I like them too much, but we'll see. I might post 1 or 2 and see if you guys like it. And if you like it, then I will continue doing it. If not, it will just be taken off. So yeah, that's I think everything I needed to tell you. I hope. So let's try this again to end this video, because I am terrible at it. So thank you all so much for watching, coming here, listen to me ramble on. It's been a pleasure to have you here, visiting me and letting me show you my whips and what I have done. So thank you so much, and hopefully you will see me in a week or two. I hope getting back to filming weekly or every other week. So I will talk to you later. Goodbye.